back to the UK League Champion. We have ourselves our third game coming up as Bulldogs will be taking on MnM. I'm very excited to get into this game as once again we've got one of these powerhouse teams here going up versus one of the teams who are considered to be a little bit more rookie focused. I want to quickly break down the roster. So first of all, I believe we're going to be starting with MnM and having a look at who's starting up on this new roster. So we're bringing that up shortly. Anyway, well, maybe we'll be bringing it up shortly. I don't know. We're finding out soon. Let's have a little look. 1 second. We're having a quick problem. But if we do look at MnM as a team, as their history as an organization, this is a team who have been in the UK for a while. They've had a lot of championships under their name. But let's have a little look at the roster here. We do obviously have Mumus at 100 in the top lane. Nolty is the jungler. Chibs in the mid. Monk and Shogun as the bot lane and support. So Monk, a powerhouse AD who's been playing around for quite a while, so we're definitely keeping our eyes on him. And Shogun was a support player who kind of popped up recently in the last year, and he was a player who I definitely wanted to watch his development, so got himself onto a pretty powerful roster here, so I'm excited to see exactly how he's going to be doing. But we do have to see who they'll be going up against, and that will be Bulldog. Bulldog, again, another team who are kind of a little bit more focused around the rookies on their roster as well, so we'll have a little look at who's starting up on the side of Bulldogs. As you can see in the top lane, Ego Speed, Saizo in the jungler, Coward in mid, Gould and Dojin as the bot lane support duo. So another team who, as we kind of watch them go across the weeks, we're going to be watching who stands out, because this is a lot of these players' chances to kind of stand out and be in the spotlight and make those big plays. I mean, we just saw Darkspawn challenge Fnatic at the beginning of their first game of the day, and the second game we did just see Phelan versus XL, and Phelan actually really pushed them. So if Bulldogs can push a team like MnM, it's a good statement for them coming into day one of the UKLC. But let's see what the casters think about coming into this game.
Thank you very much, guys. And, well, guys, that was just a guy. Jake, you've been wonderful, and thanks for introducing the teams. We do have MnM taking on Bulldog. Now, before we jump in, I was told to ask that with Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow, we want to see...
You want me to be a Valentine?
Yes, but also we want to see your Valentine's pictures. If you're really in love with your Siva body pillow, please let us know the UKLC hashtag. And we're going to give you a quick example of what a nice picture for Valentine's Day is going to look like. So come here, buddy. You see? This is love. And we want to see it tomorrow, the 14th of February, here on the UKLC. Hashtag UKLC with your Valentine's pictures. And again, if it is a body pillow,
feel free to let us know which champion would be your Valentine's.
Oh, that's a great question, Orcs. Yeah. Which champion? Mine would be Karthus.
I'm not sure I want to ask why.
I just picked one out of my head.
And you settled on Karthus?
Yeah.
So you had all the champions, and Karthus was the one you thought, oh, I'd love to take him out on a date.
I could have, look, there could have been several, but it might not be fit for broadcast, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
We'll move swiftly on.
Let's talk about the game coming up. MnM taking on Bulldogs. Now, most people pegging MnM as one of the top 4 rosters in the UK right now. What is it about this roster you think is bringing that edge? Because they've always had that kind of legacy with them in the UK scene.
Yeah, I mean, this is an organization who's won the UK split several times. They had a little fall from grace, but they're looking to bounce back. And I think with their roster, they just have across the talent, across the board, a lot of talent across the board, both work. And you know, we will see there's names like Mumus, who's come from another region, come over here, is a strong contender in the solo lane. But then Monk and Shogun, they're a bot lane who've been together previously in the UK scene, but both of them are high on people's regards. I think just across the board, every player has a lot of individual talents. Compared to Bulldogs, which for some reason shown as feeling, but you know, we can see the names, you can tell.
Yeah, it's, the overlay right now isn't quite correct. It is MnM on the blue side, and it will be Bulldogs on the red side. So we are into Champion Select. We will be going through it as soon as we just get that sort of overlay fixed and ready to go. But we've already seen some bans coming out. Irelia was the opening ban for MnM. What do you make of that? Weird,
because on this patch, Irelia just really isn't that great. I've heard some people talk about her as a lane bully in the top lane, because obviously she can stack up that attack speed. So if you're in a lane against a tank, you can trade pretty aggressively later on. but I wouldn't really think of her as, we need to ban this as a high priority. So
Sure.
interesting to see.
So Kane and Aatrox followed up by MnM, Akali, Cassiopeia, and Lucian over on the side of Bulldog esports. Anything that stands out to you with the bans as the first pick is going to be coming through from MnM?
Kane is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Rast is pretty strong when you get to that point, but I don't see him as like a massive priority. MnM clearly have an idea of what Bulldogs plays or might bring out and are worried about. I think on the other side, Bulldog are just banning standard. I think Akali, Lucian, and Cassiopeia are the most banned champions on this patch across all regions, so that's no real surprise there. Question is going to be, what are they going to pick up? Because there is that Ergot taken on the other side. Will Ego Speed play Sion into it, as we've seen in every game so far today? Yeah,
that is a really safe top lane pick, like you said, and Ergot brings a lot to the table. And as you suggested, it is the immediate counter pick coming through with an Ezreal lock-in very early on. We've seen quite a little bit of Ezreal in the few games that we've had in the UKLC so far. What does Ezreal actually bring to a composition?
He is very safe. Extremely safe. As you imagine, the champion has a flash on like an 8-second cooldown. Pretty safe.
Yeah.
Has that long-range poke, but then on top of that, his build at the moment means he has a ton of damage. He gets that AP for extra burst. His ult can poke people out. And then also he gets the added safety of his Seraphs, where even if you get on top of this champion who's going to have 2 escapes, he's still going to have a big shield on him. It's really hard to deal with him.
All right, so MnM are going to start rounding out the second side of their composition, going for their top laner, their jungler, Nolty, hovering the Nidalee, because he's kind of known for Nidalee back when he was like a solo queue jungler, but going for the Sejuani here. What would you be looking to pick up on this final bit of the rotation, just to sort of round out your first draft phase?
I would be leaning towards an AD carry, just because you know they're going to get banned out after this, and they will take the Sivir. I think that's a good decision. I'm not sure. I think Sivir's pretty good with regards to where create AD carries are at the moment. Interestingly, they didn't opt to go towards that Kai'Sa, but they have a really strong front line and then a really strong backline AD carry.
It's like a really solid like front-to-back composition that you've got going on.
One of the crucial
right now.
things with Ezreal is that he struggles. I mean, if you look at that composition, if you fire Mystic shots into the Sejuani and the Ergot, they really aren't going to do that much. And then you have the Sivir as well. If you do manage to land someone on it, she's liable just to spell shield it. So it does put a lot of pressure for Bulldogs to find backline access. I think Xin Zhao is a good pick to do that. Obviously, if you get in on that back lane, you have your ult to sort of split things up and then also provide safety from anyone who's not right on top of you.
Of course. So let's have a look at what we've got in terms of compositions here. Ergot, Sejuani, Sivir, you've got Sion, Ezreal, and Xin Zhao. When you're looking at MnM, are you a little bit worried that they're maybe a little bit too late game focused here? Do you think they've got a solid mid game? Do you think they need something in the mid lane to try and bring some mid game presence? Or do you think they're just going to play for that?
I mean, I'd like to see a playmaker support who can follow up on things. It'd be interesting to see what they go from mid. You have the Sejuani who has a lot of CC, so I'd like to see someone with a lot of damage, or who can potentially set it up as well. You don't have counter pick.
So you want a safer pick in the mid lane?
I mean, Calwood is more experienced. He's an experienced player on the side of Bulldogs. He's played on Mad Lions Academy. Chibs is more for fresh out of solo queue talent. So, I mean, I would put him on something that's a bit safe, but at the same time, you want something that can apply pressure in the early levels, because right now the rest of the comp doesn't have a ton. I think you do have Shove in the bot lane from the Sivir, so I would make use of that. Looks like we're just going to get fairly standard mid lane bans out of Bulldogs, the LeBlanc and the Silas. So the Silas have a great effect last game, and the LeBlanc also a big threat. And also that would mean if you have the Sivir who's a safe backliner, it's really hard to pin the LeBlanc down on top of that.
So if you were on the side of MnM and you wanted to round out this composition, what would be your ideal picks for mid and support here?
I think you could take the Braum here. I think Braum is good because it blocks more damage from the Ezreal. I think it works really well with the Sejuani as well, and it's still on the cards. I think you could potentially look for the Alistar just so you have even more engagement front line. It depends what's picked on this next pick from Bulldogs. They're actually going to go for the Zoe, which is interesting. So it means they're leaving the support counter pick to last. Zoe is very strong and a comfortable blind in this mess, so it's understandable. But now it puts MnM in a good position to say, what do we want to take into that? Into Zoe, I mean, you could take some... I mean,
LeBlanc's already gone, which is usually something that does really well into Zoe.
Cassiopeia's all right, but is gone. I'm just trying to think what's on the table. You can take the Syndra. Syndra would be a good matchup into it. I think Syndra also provides more protection for the Sivir. In the bot lane, looks like they're going towards a Karma, so not opting for more front line. They feel like they've got enough of that. More backline protection.
I guess it also maybe weighs up that you're guaranteed a shove lane if you're running with the Karma Sivir. There's nothing that they can pick and support that's going to outshove a Sivir Karma, right? So you're guaranteed that pressure. looks like something that has been seen quite a lot is being hovered here. We won't really touch on it until we get to that position, but
I think it makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense, right?
Because it adds so much more to the team fighting, and essentially you have this Sivir on the backline who's hard to pin down because of the spell skill, because of the extra movement speed, and the Karma support in here, and then you have this beefy front line who can buy so much time. Lissandra is really hard to deal with, and in structured team fights, I just don't see how MnM aren't going to come out ahead. Crucially for Bulldogs, you're going to have to look for pick opportunities. They have the two-shot barrage. They're now looking towards the Thresh, which is a speciality of Dajin's, and the Zoe. That is a good pick potential, but I feel like they're going to suffer in the 5v5, so they need to find those opportunities.
All right, so let's round these compositions out now and talk about some of their win conditions, because we have the Urgot, the Sejuani, the Lissandra, the Sivir, and the Karma that you see there. Win condition, like for that composition, what is it? I
mean, you're going to shove in bot, so get pressure advantage bot and make use of that. Potentially make roaming plays with the Lissandra and the Sejuani because you have so much CC on them, and then get towards that mid-late game point where you can start a team fight, because in a 5v5, it's very difficult to see how you can win against that composition.
I think I completely agree with you, and I think if you look... Yeah, no, I like to agree with you. And if you look at Bulldog, if you get to the late game when you haven't snowballed, how do you kill Sivir? How do you even get to Sivir and supply enough damage if you've got all these big, beefy body blockers?
I mean, you crucially have to find picks. It gets even harder in the late game when people start to get more defensive items. But I think in the mid-game, when Ezreal spikes and Zoe can start to one-shot people, you still have potential to win the game, especially if you saw, like Mystique's did last game, you land some crucial hooks. I think there's potential to find something off that, but they are going to struggle if they don't start getting things going early. If they fall far behind, I don't see them getting back into this game.
So you're saying Bulldog is running a composition that needs to be the one taking the proactive plays towards the mid-game. Otherwise, you're going to run into a front-to-back composition with a tank front line that you're never going to get through.
If you find an opportunity to pick people off like the Karma, which is a good one to look at, then yeah, you're going to be in a good position. But if you don't, you're really going to struggle. I think another good one is the Lissandra as well, is that you might think the Lissandra is really hard to pin down, but if she's forced to self-ult, she really isn't doing her job in the team fights. So I think they need to look for those targets in the mid-game, find people isolated, and then of that push advantages. If they don't do that and they just rely on getting to late game and team fighting, they will get stomped by MnM.
Do you think there's a bit of pressure on Bulldog's jungler this game, because he might be the one that facilitates this sort of early snowball?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that was a loaded question. I apologize.
I'm just going to say yes, because I mean, I think he has the more aggressive early jungler in the Jin Zhao compared to a Sejuani. I think there is opportunity for him to make use of that. And particularly when you look at a Karma Sivir bot lane.
This UKLC is the best Valentine I can have. In love with it. We're in love with you.
Yeah, thank you, Zant TP.
Yeah, thanks, Zant. That was cringe. So, I want to just ask you a question before we jump into this game. Based on this draft, does this affect the patented Orcs tier list of teams?
No.
No, so you still think MnM are a clear, better win condition, and they're going to take this one?
I mean, I think what a lot of these teams have done that we've weighted into it has been the stronger teams. Shogun, Mum, Lynn about the UKLC game, getting ready for MnM first game. Wow.
Oh, UK Shogun's Mum. That is really sweet when your parents watch. My parents sometimes watch. They don't understand what's going on. In fact, my dad once got into an argument with someone in Twitch chat talking about champagne, because my dad is just one of those people. And he was getting like hard trolled in Twitch chat, but he didn't realize, and he just kept talking about champagne, and it was really odd.
I mean, my parents are supportive, but I remember when I won the UK split one time, I sent my mum.
Oh yeah, that one time that you won the.
That one time, yeah.
I'd actually never heard you talk about. I never heard you talk about that.
Yeah, so I sent my mum a picture of me with the trophy, and I said that I'd won the UK split, and her response was, "What's that?"
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Can we press F in chat for Orcs here? He doesn't quite get the support love from his mum.
I mean, they support me. They just don't understand it.
They just don't understand.
Like, cool, you go video gamers.
You e-gamers. Talking about e-gamers, we've got Bulldog's lineup here. Ego Speed top, Sizo jungle, Calward mid, Gould and Dajin. And when you were talking about this team, you said you wanted to keep your eyes on Calward because he's that sort of experience on the tier 2 side of Spain. But before we jump into that, Mumus, 100 top, Mumus.
Like hummus, but without H.
Something like that. Nulty and the rest of the guys that we didn't have time to talk about because we're already into game. It's MnM taking on Bulldog. Here we go.
This is UKLC done fast.
Yes. We're actually going to run a speed running competition to see how quickly we can run through all of the graphics. Right. We are onto Summoner's Rift. And let's go back to that Calwood point, because it's something that you mentioned before we got into the broadcast today. You said, I want to keep my eyes on him. He played for Movistar Riders Academy, the
Mad Lions Academy.
Mad Lions Academy Tier 2 team in Spain. Has a little bit of stage experience from their Tier 2 finals over there.
I mean, it's just a big contrast, because in most regards, you look at MnM's roster, and they're all more experienced than their Bulldog counterparts. However, Calwood has that experience, and Chibs is literally fresh out of solo queue. This is a fresh out of solo queue talent, and he's up against someone with more competitive experience.
Before we jump in, guys, in Twitch chat, spam 1 for MnM, spam 2 for Bulldogs, and I will have my patented production team tell me which one has been spammed more, and then we can let you know the Twitch chat results. It's completely 100% scientifically calculated. Spam the number that you want to see win.
Do you feel like you're giving a weighted advantage to MnM by giving them 1?
I know, I like the number 2.
Okay, whatever you say. I'm just saying. People might see it as bias.
But they're going to start counting to 100 now.
Oh, that never works.
That never works. We never get to... Twitch chat never gets to 100.
Oh, you've challenged them now.
All right, guys, we're jumping into game here. Nothing crazy happening. We haven't seen too many fancy level 1s to begin with. And as you can see, you should start to see that bot lane shove in for Monk and Shogun. So they're going to have that advantage. But that does mean they're going to need to maintain that vision around the bot lane to make sure they don't get caught out by Xin Zhao.
I mean, that's a crucial thing. If you're laning like in a pure 2v2, Karma is great. Like, it's so much fun to play.
Yeah.
There's just one big caveat is that when the jungler turns up, it's not a fun time. Like, you don't have the hard CC in defense. You're very squishy. If one bit of CC lands from the other side, it's a bad time.
So we can see Saizo has started top, pathing down towards his blue side of the jungle. Nulty already there, so he's going to pick up the Rift Scuttler, or the River Scuttler. And there's also a sort of a defensive vision ward come down around the blue buff. I mean, they think they're kind of aware that they're going to be a target.
They're contesting this blue.
Ooh, Saizo jumps over. He will catch Nulty there.
So this is interesting because Saizo actually, he started off with what we see regularly is this 3-camp start on the red side. So you clear out all your camps, you get your Raptors. But I think he was aware that there might be a steal coming out from Nulty. That Pixel Brush ward pointed it out. And so instead of going for his Raptors, he came straight across and was able to defend his blue buff. So good moves from Bulldogs just to ensure that his buff was safe. And now he will head back over to his Raptors and finish his full clear. But he keeps his second buff, which is the important thing.
Yeah, alteration of jungle path was really nice there from Saizo, just to make sure he contested, because their bot lane was in a pretty of a precarious position. They were shoved in very early, so if they were to respond, they would lose CS in that bot lane. Interestingly enough, was something that we didn't mention, we are seeing the TP Ezreal. He's already had to use his TP. Went back and TP'd back into lane. Yeah,
not an ideal situation, especially when all you pick up is a refillable potion and you're still down in CS. And crucial thing now is that MnM playing this lane well, they're put in a position where it's going to freeze just in front of their tower. Not a fun position to be in.
Also got to note that we are running a non-spellbook, I believe. Is he running spellbook or is it? No, he's running Kleptomancy. So it's a non-spellbook teleport Ezreal. So he's never going to be able to switch that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of standard that we go for the Klepto nowadays. I think TP as a standard for some midi carries, I think Kai'Sa's one of them, and I think Ezreal is.
Sure.
They're comfortable with that. It's interesting that Monk hasn't gone for it, because sometimes you see it on champions like Sivir, because you essentially can just teleport anywhere and be that farming presence. But I think he wanted to go for the extra safety in lane, because if you have that Karma without the safety of the heal, then you really just die in one combo.
Absolutely. Mumus now in the top lane. Again, we don't see too much action happen unless you're Sendo and you're getting a 1v1 by Aragon, which we saw in the XL game here. Looks like Saizo has made his way down towards the bot lane, heading through the Tri-Brush. Again, you said this is likely going to be his focus, but I do believe Monk and Shogun have some kind of idea, which is why they look to freeze this lane, and Saizo probably not going to get much love from his position there.
I mean, this is a great way to play your lane. If anyone's a bot laner who's watching this and wants to understand what they've done, they pushed early with a double range advantage, and then they let the wave bounce off the tower, and they fed it just in front of the... they froze it just in front of the tower, so that meant they were able to keep the lane there. And as you saw, Saizo came down. He wasn't able to find the gank because Monk and Shogun were very safe just next to the tower.
And if we link back to that point that you made about Bulldog needing that advantage, the more time that you can stall and keep safe... Twitch chat, you're spamming random numbers. We wanted you to count to 100.
I think keep going, you know, if the people want to.
I know, it's all right. Keep going, Twitch chat. We believe in you. You can make it. Maybe if we get to 100, you can graduate to 1,000.
Oh, that's asking a lot. Oh, Shogun become very aggressive here. I want Saizo to look for this. I mean, the wave's big. I understand the restraint.
It's set up here. Nolty's coming for the counter
This could
gank.
be a bait.
Saizo's running in. The flash comes out from Shogun already, but he can jump onto the Karma, who manages to back away, forces the flash as well. But Nolty's not done. He's looking for another engage. But unfortunately, nothing will come of it. Lots of flashes burnt, however, a really well-timed counter gank.
Yeah, it's the crucial thing is that obviously you can't keep the wave frozen there forever. It's eventually going to amass to the point where you have to push it back in. And so Nolty was aware of this, and he came to his bot lane only when the wave pushed into the other side. So when there was that risk of them getting ganked, he's there to turn it around. And they traded up in terms of summoner spells. Yeah.
Best case scenario, actually, for MnM there. They crashed a huge minion wave into tower. Ezreal doesn't have TP, and they burnt loads of summoners. Really, really nicely predicted by Nolty, knowing that that bot lane really feels like it's going to be a focus because of that push potential, and because of the escapes, I guess, that Lissandra and Urgot have. They're not the easiest lanes to go for in the world.
Yeah, it's not really that fun, especially when the thing with Jin Zhao is he doesn't have instantaneous hard CC. You need to get that third auto to proc it. If by that time Mummus has managed to find some space or potentially just blown you up because that's what Urgot does, or the Lissandra's clawed away, you're not going to find that gank. And now you've seen the wave crash into tower again. It's now pushing back towards MnM's side. We're going to see an exact repeat. And MnM are just going to freeze the wave in front of their tower again and continue this pressure advantage and to gain a big CS lead bot. And this is crucial because it's a Sivir. It's not someone who's going to fall off late game. I mean, that is some of the potential issues with Lucian is that later on he's not as great, but Sivir is just going to get stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and she's got that big front-to-back teamfight style that we talked about. I mean, you give that speed buff to an Urgot and a Sejuani alongside the speed buff of the Karma E when you empower it. I mean, you're looking at a really chunky front line that with an Ezreal and a Zoe, where's your damage going to come from? How are you ever going to get through a Sejuani who's got, 3 or 4 defensive items?
You don't.
Yeah, I thought that was the answer that I was expecting.
I think they have to find, if it gets to late game, they just have to find a pick on someone else, or they have to rely on a third party contributing, like a tower, or 2 towers, or a Baron, or maybe like 2 Barons, 3 towers, and an Elder Dragon.
This is like a really specific set of objectives that we're looking at here.
I mean, you just need a lot more contribution. But I think it's not quite at that point yet, and we've got to look at what sides can do. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to find the pressure bot, but once again, Monk and Shogun are pushed up. I want to see Dejin find something, but there's so much great vision control on the bot side. You see those 2 pink wards crucially protecting MnM from the ganking pressure, and they were confident in taking this Karma pick, something we saw from Freeland last game. Snuggly was punished later on, so there's still opportunity for that to happen, but right now in lane, this double range advantage is really showing up for MnM.
Yeah, and something that we mentioned right at the start of this lane is that they're going to need to maintain really strong vision control of that bottom side of the map. Double control ward there. They have all of the lane pressure, and you can see Gould and Dejin just struggling to even get into CS range at this point in time. 20 CS advantage being opened up for Monk. I mean, this is a great start for what is, I think, your primary win condition if you're looking at MnM.
Yeah, this is the lane kingdom coming out from Monk and Shogun. And this is something that I wanted to highlight is I sort of gave a tier list of how I rated the lane strengths of all the bot lanes, and I put Monk and Shogun third. Oh, Saizo has found Nolty.
Saizo has found Nolty. Nolty does get the red buff, however, I think. Saizo is still trying to chase him down, forces the flash, and with Saizo's flash already being down, all said and done, an invade for a flash, not the worst in the world for Saizo.
Yeah, so Saizo actually didn't opt to smite the red buff there because he wanted to smite for the damage onto Nolty, and because that does end up burning his flash, we have to look if they are able to punish on that. Sejuani, not exactly the champion you think, oh, easy to take down without a flash, but still could lead for a potential exploit later on. And right now, Saizo happy to go towards that dragon because Nolty low on HP and forced out.
It's a little bit risky, though, because your bot lane is shoved in so heavily.
Plus, Ocean does so much damage. That dragon is just broken. Especially when it's an Ocean dragon. It's not like, oh, yes, we got it. It's the Ocean. It's not even that great in the end of things.
Chibs and Coward in the mid lane. Actually pretty even between the two of them. The Drowsy does come through. He manages to put himself out of harm's way.
I mean, Coward's shown his experience. We said this guy has competitive experience. He's played in LAN situations, and he's finding advantages over Chibs. I mean, there's still this bleeding issue of the bot lane, but the gold isn't fairly unfavorable for Bulldogs.
This is what I wanted to chat to you a little bit about as well, though. Bulldogs, like we said in Champion Select, they need to get their composition rolling, finding picks towards the mid game, maybe some focuses around pre-team fights with dragons and things like that. But we're not in the worst position in the world. Wait a second, spoke too soon. Monk does manage to get out of the Thresh ultimate. He dodges where he can, but unfortunately taken so low. First blood goes to Ezreal, and that is maybe the opening that Gould needed in this lane.
Yeah, absolute overconfidence coming out from Monk. He waited so long to flash, completely played with fire, and by the time he did it, he was too low on HP, and this gets picked up from the other side. Good moves from Bulldog is what I wanted to see.
Immediate response coming out from MnM, though, straight onto the Rift Herald. Seeing even Zoe committing to the bot lane too, they knew it was a potential 4-man dive. Ooh.
Oh, slept in a bad position.
Shibs has to be very careful here. Does pan off him just for the moment.
Thresh and Sion are coming over. We are locking the Dragon right now, but looks like the Sandro will have to flash to get out.
Oh, wait a second here. Nolty going in. Actually forced to back away. Ego Speed is now separating the two of them, and I think Nolty might be giving up his life in this situation as he gets hooked in, and Calwood takes the kill.
And that's what came from that earlier flash. That Sizo managed to burn. Nolty gives his life over for Chibs, but then manages to fall as a result of not having that summoner, and Sizo in return picks up that Dragon. We're seeing a lot of life on this Bulldog side. We said they needed to make things happen early, and they have started to. Picking up a Dragon and 2 kills already, and not only equalizing that gold lead, but starting to pull ahead.
It might not seem like a lot, but previous to those 2 kills and the set of engages that happened, Bulldog were about 800 gold behind. So they've actually made a 1,000 gold swing in their favor to put themselves back in the lead, and they now need to utilize this position to build a platform and get back into the game, especially on that bot side of the map. Give massive credit to Calwood, though. He's been playing really well, kept up, or even, you know, accelerated in CS in some instances versus this Lissandra. But Gould and Dajin picking up that first blood is a great boon for them as they start to pick up that sheen, that gives them a bit of dueling potential too.
I mean, that's the thing, is that there's a huge CS advantage for Monk on this bot side, and by giving over that kill, he's essentially just managed to equalize it. And it was a bit of overconfidence from him, not expecting to have to use his flash. And I spoke to Monk a bit about his aspirations for the UK league, and I think the quote was, "I'm going to smash it." So I think he wants to come out and prove that he is, in his opinion, the best AD carry in the league, but overconfidence here has backfired, and he's given Gould and Dajin a route back into this lane.
Yeah, it's not absolutely back into Bulldog's favor, though. You can still see most of the pressure resulting for Monk and Shogun. Chibs just constantly having to dodge out left, right, and center against Calwood Zoe, who's been putting on a lot of pressure 1v1. The top lane has been pretty uneventful, but the CS lead that Mummus has started to open up now, once that Phage comes online, as you can see, he's now built almost a 30 CS lead against his opponent, which is actually pretty good, and 30 CS in the top lane, Sion versus Urgot. Mummus has quietly been consolidating and building a lead on that top side of the map.
Yeah, which is always an asset, and especially, I mean, Sion is going to be very strong and be invincible late game, but the Urgot can be a massive presence if he finds opportunities, so by no means a small advantage. Does help to equalize the gold across the board. Looks like a lot of pressure coming around towards this bot side. Nolty is in the area. Needs to be a bit careful.
We're 30 minutes into the game now. We are starting to enter what we would call the mid-game. The mid-game portion of this game. What, if you're Bulldog, do you need to do to make sure that you don't rest on your laurels, you utilize some of that early pressure that you generated, and you continue to push the advantage?
Make an aggressive 4-man play anywhere on the map soon, because this Rift Herald by Nolty is going to get used within a minute. You can see he's heading towards that top side, so if they're tracking that, they'll expect a Rift Herald to come in top. So make an aggressive 4-man play bot, because they won't be there to defend it if Nolty uses Herald topside. And, I mean, it's just play, because you know that Herald's going to come down. Unless you find Nolty in the jungle, which you're not really going to be able to do in this position when he has flash, you're not going to be able to take him out. I think you just have to give up the top tower where you expect it to come and make the pressure bot. You do see, yeah, the Xin Zhao's moved bot. It looks like nothing else will come from it, and I got to expect that Nolty's going to use this Rift Herald top after he takes that blue, and that's going to be the first tower going over to MnM if they manage to execute this properly. Yeah,
Mummus is going to hard shove in that wave. He's going to look to do the same thing here as the Rift Herald opens onto the top side of the map. Black Cleaver has been finished up too, which is a big item spike for Urgot. That's going to give him plenty of dueling potential versus the Sion now. And even just with Righteous Glory, Sion is going to have to be a little bit careful in the 1v1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it gives a lot more kill potential, especially when Mummus has shown that he is sort of edging ahead in this lane. But it's unfortunate to see, because Bulldog were showing some life in the early stages. Monk had no flash for a significant amount of time, and they didn't punish. I would like to see an over-aggressive play where you just completely force them, burn your own flashes, and just go absolutely hard against the bot lane of MnM, but in this case they didn't. They just played more defensive and they let their top lane tower go for free, essentially.
Well, you can see Saizo's really trying. I mean, the Monk and Shogun, they are just sat back at their tower.
Then dive them.
Dive them, even without the minion wave. I mean, they haven't got a minion wave to work with right now, so they're going to have to wait a significant amount of time.
They knew, I think the plays you should know, because you should know the timing of this Sejuani. You should literally escort the wave into the tower, and then you force them off the tower, and you can take it for free. If Sejuani shows up, you back off, but you know that she's there, so you can defend the Rift Herald. I mean, they're doing it now, but they should have done it earlier.
Yeah, Zoe is moving down towards that bottom side of the map. The Orcs' patented 4-man play is starting to work its way towards that bot side of the map. You can see there is a ward there. They will be aware of it as the spell shield comes through onto... Oh, that's the flash! That is going to be the ultimate coming out from Sivir. She does get put to sleep, and this could be very risky for Monk, as he goes so low. That is the Ludens actually picking up the kill there, but Chips has come into the fray, as has Mummus. They are going to turn this around. The 4-man dive gone wrong as Mummus cleans house for MnM.
Yeah, and Chib's just coming and picking up so many kills, and if you overcommit against Lissandra, her passive is devastating. There's a Fear Beyond Death. Mummus takes down one more.
Yeah, Chips managing to get the killing blows there. Triple kill for himself. Lots of damage put down by Mummus as well, picking up one with his ultimate at the end. And they are going to turn down what felt like a pretty obvious 4-man dive with a very good defensive ward from MnM. They're going to turn it into the tower for their own on the bot side of the map.
I mean, the crucial thing there was Monk was able to flash away and buy more space. So you see he baits out the hook there, sidesteps a play, and then here flashes right at the end. And that means he survives much longer than he should. Gould has to flash forward to finish him off and instantly dies here. And that is the difference between making this play 3 minutes ago and making it now.
Yeah.
And then Chibs turns up and it's just cleaning house. And the crucial thing is, if you get an early kill as Lissandra, it's so easy to follow up in the team fight because of that passive, because of those zombies.
Yeah, we go. Mummus gets that final kill with his ultimate. Easy chomp from the Urgot. And like you said, you felt like this was a play that was being orchestrated for 8 minutes, but it was 8 minutes for MnM to predict that play. They had the defensive ward in place, knowing that they were going to be a target, knowing that it was the lane that Bulldog really had to play through to get anything done in this game.
Yeah, I mean, crucially, imagine that same play, but Monk doesn't have flash. They don't have to overextend as far. Gould doesn't have to flash in to finish off the Sivir. It would have gone so much cleaner. And the thing is as well is that you could have done that before your top tower went down. I think they just made a mistake by waiting too long and respecting MnM too much. And it meant that MnM has been able to push ahead. And now this Lissandra, who is struggling a bit in lane against the Zoe, is looking really strong and even has a nice 700 gold bounty.
So what we're seeing here, 1-3-1 with the mid lane going, sorry, the bot lane going to mid. This is a dive onto Lissandra here. Does really well time her ultimate, but she is going to be a little bit vulnerable as it looks like Gould trying to clear up the kill. Doesn't quite get it though as Lissandra backs off and now has the benefit of a minion wave to work with too. That's just, things just going wronger, I mean, I think
they're just going to redive. They give the Dragon over, but I think they're just going to redive because there's no reason not to. No one's coming to help. You've seen the Dragon's been taken down, so you have to expect that they're on the other side of the map. I mean, they can try and pressure Eagle Speed, but they have no wave.
They have no wave right now, and actually Chibs is buying so much time.
Chibs is laughing at them.
Yeah, but he knows. Look at the bottom side of the map. They've got the Urgot and the Sejuani pushing the Scion out. Wait a second. Chibs going in onto Gould here.
He's buying time.
He's just buying more and more time.
I think he's just
killed
himself.
Yeah.
I think he should be dead.
There
we go. Big shutdown. Maybe a bit of an overstep. I mean, I'm not sure what the plan was. I think he tried to get out before the wave came. But I think you had a better chance of staying on the tower. I think you just didn't know where Gould was. But you have given away a big ton of gold to that Ezreal. In return, picking up that bot tower, so can't complain too much.
No, here we go though. Monk now the target for Coward, who jumps in, tries to land the sleepy trouble bubble. But
yes, I love it when you play against Zoe and she doesn't land her abilities. But just autos you and uses a W passive and brings you down to 30 HP. What a great champion.
Nolte now heading back into his own jungle. Let's take stock of where we are right now. Let's turn the items as Drowsy does land onto Nolte and he will be put to sleep, but it is a Sejuani. Not going to be too worried about that as the blue buff gets stolen away. But like I said, let's take stock of where we are at the game. 2k gold advantage to MnM. Which items are the most important ones that have been finished here? Are we at any big item spikes that either team are going to want to abuse?
The Lissandra having the Zhonya's and the Protobalt is pretty strong for team fighting. Always can buy a ton of time with the Self-ult and also the Zhonya's as well. The Urgot having that Righteous Glory gives actually a lot of follow-up or engage potential because you just run as them. You just run at them as the Urgot, and they can't really do anything because they can't kill you. You're too tanky. I still think you're waiting a while for Monk's Sivir to come online. And on the other side, I think Ezreal, you really want to be finishing off that mirror mana before you think this is our time to take over the game. So I still think Bulldog are in a position where they can find fights. You've seen how easily Monk dies if he's found off on the side by Coward. It's when he gets to like that 4-item point and he starts to invest defensively as well. That's where the game is just completely out of Bulldog's control. But for now, they just need to find some good picks and they should be able to pull ahead. I think a good target to look at is Shogun, Flashless, and on this Karma. But anyone they can get, it really is what you're looking for now.
Yeah, still very pick-orientated coming up from Bulldog. If they can land that hook into the sleep, they're in a really solid position. Looks like Monk trying to push on to this mid lane turret as they go aggressive onto Nulti. 4-man commit, even 5-man potential commit to this mid lane tower defense as the 1-3-1 continues from MnM here. Do you agree with this 1-3-1? Is this what they want to be doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the crucial thing is that you have TP from both sides. You have to be cautious because Mummus is down, so you can see their group for now. But the 1-3-1 in concept is always going to work because Zoe doesn't do it well by herself defending a lane. And look at this tower though. Monk taking a lot of damage.
A lot of damage, but the redemption is coming through here. They are going to get a really solid 5-man redemption off as they push onto Ego Speed as he goes down at the start of this team fight. Nulti soaking up all of those Zoe skill shots just like we anticipated, and that leaves Monk completely untouched in the backline. Lissandra still yet to find an engage, but this is a really solid team fight take as well as that mid lane turret.
Yeah, I mean, crucially, that's what we talked about before the game. If you fight front to back, MnM are going to come out ahead. You only have Ego Speed to soak the damage compared to Nulti and Mummus, and it's very easy to cut through this tank when you have the Sivir, when you have the Urgot ult as well, that can potentially just execute them. So, good moves from MnM. They managed to get the turret on top of that, and they're showing when they group as 5, they're in a great position. And that's why you have to be cautious. If they do go for the 1-3-1 and you get caught out, can get a bit dicey, but once Mummus's TP comes up, they're going to be in a much better position to just control the map.
The side lane wave shove is so strong from Lissandra and Urgot, though, compared to the way that they can respond with a Sion and a Zoe. So you're always going to be able to generate side lane pressure by doing this 1-3-1, which is, I guess, what they're looking for, because, again, the 1-3-1 also does something extra to the team, as we can see Chibs now looking to get onto Sizo here. Does have his ultimate, so can land it, and does, as Nulti comes through. Should be able to clean this up pretty easily, as Sizo, kind of stuck in no man's land, will eventually find an icy death between the two Ice Queens of Lissandra and Sejuani.
Just a questionable, like, why was Sizo there? I mean, he's shoving the lane up for no reason. You know MnM will have reset by that time, and the fact that he managed to get flanked by the Sejuani, he was just completely out of position, and this now gives MnM complete control of the Baron, and they're just going to start up. They know there's no jungler from the side of Bulldog to contest this, so this is essentially free. They're even TPing the Lissandra in on full HP again. Looks like Bulldog's going to try and push in, but you have no jungler. I don't see what you can do.
Yeah, maybe looking to try and stop the team fight with the poke here, or like just stop the Baron with the poke coming through as well. Redemption is going to buy some time as it goes down very low. Ego Speed going to charge that ultimate. He's charging straight into the middle of the team as Mummus is forced to flash. Chibs caught on the sideline here. This is actually not too bad for Bulldogs, but things are starting to turn around as the front to back works absolute wonders, and MnM clean up a couple of kills. Coward on the side can get nothing done, and it is 2 kills for nothing as the team fight stands.
It was good moves from Bulldog to contest that, but crucially, you should have stopped when you forced them off the Baron. That was the objective. They got too greedy for the kills, and once again, ended up falling for this front-to-back team fight. Do you see Coward actually going at Shogun, but dies in return for it? I'm not sure that's weird.
Sizo flashes randomly, and Mummus just doing his walking signature move.
I mean, that's what you do as a top lane. You just sort of walk at people.
You just walk. I mean, that's what you do as
Urgot. Yeah, just walk at them and take them out.
I love that. It's just like a trot. Like, hey, I'm walking.
I'm here. I'm here.
But he's not coming out the screen. I don't understand it.
Confusing, isn't it?
It's confusing. So let's take a look back. And Dan, what exactly happened here?
So they come in, and this is great. They force them off the Baron, and they should just back off now. They lose Ego Speed, that's fine, but just back away. And then they just keep, actually, to be honest, I don't think they could back away at that point. No. I think it was too far gone. I'm talking rubbish. They should have backed away even sooner than that. As soon as Ego Speed went in, they zoned off the Baron. That was a time where you say, okay, we've got them off the Baron, great.
Do you think they committed too hard?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Ego Speed went in, but then he kept going in, and that's fine. You can lose one member to stop the Baron, but, oh, did you see that?
Yeah, Sizo's flash. It was an awkward flash.
Yikes.
Yikes. Big yikes in the chat, please.
But yeah, so I mean, I was speaking rubbish a bit, but honestly, I feel like there is a point where you could go, they're off the Baron, let's back off, because they committed too hard for the team fight, And the thing is, it doesn't matter if Civ is on full HP or like 10% HP. If you don't get on top of her, she's going to pump out so much damage.
So what does this mean in terms of the game for the teams? This is their first showing in the UKLC. Bulldog with a slightly sort of a newer roster with a lot of more amateur talent, whereas MnM bringing a revamped roster that's got some familiar names. What does it mean to both of these teams, especially for MnM to come out with an initial victory?
I mean, if MnM do win this, it'd be promising, but it hasn't been massively clean. It's still close. Bulldogs still very much have hope in this game, which is the point, because MnM aren't looking at this as their goal for the split isn't let's get out the first round. I think they want to be challenging the top teams and potentially getting one of those spots.
I don't know, mate. I thought they were going for the first round out.
I mean, they could be. I don't know.
It's all like a hustle, isn't it? It's a long-term hustle.
Yeah.
Go out in the first round and just be like, yeah, it was our plan the whole time.
I mean, here's the strategy, right? You go out in the first round, so you don't have to show what you're playing, and then you save it for later when it really counts.
Oh, I like it.
Genius.
Absolute genius moves. They will be going into the draw if they win with XL and Fnatic. And remember, at the end of the day, we will draw those 4 teams into their semi-final positions in our absolute patented sphere draw. It's going to be a sphere draw.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, you have to be there for it.
If you're not there for the patented sphere draw, you're going to be very sad.
Yeah, I mean, it got us really excited earlier. We were handling the spheres. And just testing what would happen if we picked out certain teams, and it was just great fun all around.
Oh, man. It's kind of like you had to be there moment, Twitch chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, MnM now looking to position and posture around Baron. They've got all of that vision control around the top side of the map. They are in a really strong position. Again, taking stock of the items. You've now got several. I think it's Gargoyle Stoneplate now finished on the Urgot.
Yep.
You've got
Tanky
the
Boy.
Knight's Vow for the Sivir to be linked to the Sejuani. You've picked up Morella Nomicon, I think, there for Chibs. And also, you can see nearly 3rd item completed. I think Infinity Edge almost there for Monk.
I mean, this is where things start to get difficult. You know, you have the Knight's Vow providing more protection to the Sivir. There's the Zhonya's. I mean, that's been there for a while, but this Lissandra is now very bulky and very tanky. The front line is becoming nigh on unkillable. At least the Urgot is very hard to kill through that Gargoyle Stoneplate. It's getting more and more difficult to find a window for Bulldogs to get into this game, especially as their jungler, which is half their front line, just had his Sterak's popped prematurely.
Still continuing this pressure in the side lane with the 1-3-1 here, not committing to too much, but again, we mentioned it earlier, this actually just buys time for a late game scaling team composition to get to the late game, and the more time that MnM have, the more likely they are to come out on top, even though they are already significantly in the lead here, as Nolty gets aggressive, smites the red buff away, and they're really just rubbing salt in the wounds.
Yeah, I mean, Jin Zhao just feels really useless when he's behind, and Saizo's really behind. I mean, I'm not even sure if you jumped onto Monk in a 1v1 if you'd win.
I don't think he would.
Because he's 2 levels down on him. There's a spell shield as well. This Jin Zhao is level 12. He's apart from the supports, he's the lowest level in the game. And he's actually tied with Shogun. So, ooh.
That damage onto Monkey, he is so low, but unfortunately Bulldog just not in the best position to try and contest that. Monk may need to back off here, as Chibs and Nolty happily just get that top lane tier 2 down.
I mean, that's the potential. If you find the picks for Bulldog, there is so much damage, but you need to find it. And that wasn't quite it. They got the poke, but they need a bit more. And the issue is, when it gets later, when Monk picks up inevitably a QSS, you no longer have the opportunity for that. You're going to see an engaged bot lane, though.
Ooh, Ego Speed just popping the Righteous Glory, trying to put pressure onto Monk. And actually, that's a solid ultimate to burn out of the Sivir. It gives a small, brief window where you're not going to have that maneuverability in the team fight now for MnM. But, as MnM have done for pretty much the last 10 minutes...
My heart was shaking a bit there. The scoreboard vanished. I didn't think it was going to come back.
I know. I mean, I've gone long enough without the scoreboard, as well as the foam in our studio here.
Yeah, it keeps falling off the ceiling.
Look, yeah, when I was putting together the plan for the studio, because this was all me, not LVP, I thought, do you know what would look really good on the walls? Bits of foam. And then I thought, do you know what I'm going to affix it to the walls with? Double-sided tape. It's definitely not going to fall off the walls with double-sided tape.
The reason I thought you were doing is because I've heard you're expecting, and you were trying to baby-proof the room.
Yes. Just for you, though.
Oh, me. That makes sense. That's why you were putting up before I got here.
I didn't think I looked pregnant, actually, Orcs, but now that you mention it.
I'll just give it a little rub.
Thanks, bud. This is the true Valentine's moment of the UKLC scene.
Kiss me, scoundrel.
Maybe after the stream. Might interrupt too much commentary if I get into that right now.
I wonder if they'd hear us.
Yes, they absolutely, yes, they absolutely would. All right, so things have been pretty stagnant now for a few minutes, but again, we have mentioned that this favors MnM. The 1-3-1, they're very happy to just let this go. Is there a point where
Sleepy Trouble Bubble just landed on Monk. This could be the go time.
Nolty just body blocking, exactly like he needs to in this specific scenario.
Love tanks, me. Love them.
Yeah, they take all the hits for you, and Monk very happy to just go back to farming that mid lane wave.
I mean, something I got to say is Monk is someone who a lot of people have a high opinion of in terms of his mechanics. This game, it's been a bit shaky. He's eaten a lot of stuff throughout. I'm not sure if it's overconfidence or just... I mean, you see it again.
Look at the damage coming out from Zoe. I mean, Coward is really putting in a shift for Bulldog at this point in time. Oh, wait, I'm getting a word from production that the ones have won in the Twitch chat spam. So the ones have won in the Twitch chat spam. Twitch chat, good job. You did a really good job.
I told you that the ones are biased.
No,
But everyone's going to go 1/2.
Here comes an aggressive redemption. Now the team fight breaks out. Chibs right in the front line. Saizo trying to get back onto Monk, but no one manages to get that damage down. The front to back, you really just can't beat it right now as Bulldog, and that was not a pick, as that is going to be Ego Speed. Just trying to zone off the rest of that team fight from taking place, but that is the opening that MnM needed. I
mean, they got even beyond the front to back. You could see that the extra CC from Lissandra and Sejuani meant even when it felt like they got into the back line, they weren't able to lock down Monk, and crucially, that's where the composition will fall apart if you can't do that for Bulldog. They are trying to poke over the wall. Smite is available for Coward. He could steal this.
Oh, Coward has got the Smite available. As long as they keep vision on this area, you could very well easily see... Oh, so close! That's going to be Lissandra getting it as Ego Speed jumps into the front line. Right now, some very low health bars on MnM as they are forced to back off. Shogun being the only member to go down. A great stun onto Ego Speed as the ricochets start to bounce back and forth, and Monk takes a huge, huge amount of damage, and he goes down to the Mystic Shot right at the end. Chibs is going to be the focus, but he should be able to get away. The Baron goes MnM's way, but Bulldog did a really good job of cleaning up the rest of the members.
Yeah, and they did so well in that team fight. I mean, just a great performance all around. If they had gotten that Baron, it could be a very different story. And this is another aspect of Bulldog's comp. They have great poke when you're in the Baron pit. I mean, it's not fun when Zoe's firing Sleepy Trouble Bubbles and the Ezreal's firing Mystic Shots over. And I think MnM showed a lack of restraint that the teams earlier had. We saw Fnatic, when they felt like the Baron was getting a bit too risky, they backed off. They understood they had the skill advantage. MnM didn't. And frankly, they got lucky. It didn't go worse. And they managed to secure that Baron because it very easily could have gone over to Calwood there.
So close. But Chibs being the saving grace for this team. And I really think Chibs has been a standout performer for MnM this game at 5-1-5 on this Lissandra, working towards his Rabadoodle's death cap, which is going to make him a huge hitter in the team fights too.
I mean, considering this is his debut performance,
yeah,
like in competitive. I mean, we've talked about some players, it's a debut in the UK, or it's a debut in a main European regional league, but this is just his complete debut in competitive, and he's holding up pretty well, especially when you saw someone with the experience of Calwood putting up a good performance in return. He didn't waver, and he's pulling out the stops in these team fights.
We are very near to the 400 CS severe win condition right now for Monk. He's at 330, nearing his 4 items completed. Here's the engage, almost engaged from Nolte. Doesn't quite follow up on it.
Interestingly, going for a second Zeal item instead of investing for a defensive. Personally, I would opt towards a QSS, but maybe that's just me being a bit too cautious.
Monk happy to trust his front line, his spell shield, and the Karma shield on top of that, as the Ardent Sensor is also completed for Shogun, massively boosting Monk's damage potential, as well as the protection for him too, with that redemption in tow.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I understand it, they're confident, but I feel like if there was a Mikhail's coming out from the Karma or a QSS, it would make me feel a lot more confident about this game.
Wait a second here, they're trying to go and engage onto the backline. Chibs now the focus. Redemption coming out as here comes the Urgot on the sideline. Nolte taken very, very low, but Monk currently untouched, and those ricochets are starting to chunk. That is a huge amount of damage onto Dajin as he goes down. Monk absolutely healthy at 100% HP as he runs down the rest of Bulldog. Inhibitor will go down for free, and whilst the damage to the front line was huge, Monk was absolutely untested.
Yeah, they literally just could not get on them at all. Saizo went aggressive on the Karma. I guess it does seem like an easier target, but at the end of the day, if you take the Karma out, nothing really is going to change.
Oh, goodbye, Shogun.
And there is the Karma being taken out. Coward still trying to pop off, but Monk is still alive. That's a lot of damage. They might actually be able to go aggressive here. Ego speed up in 20.
This is a little bit overconfident, you think, from MnM. Another long-range Drowsy onto the Sejuani here, but now Monk becoming the pseudo frontline for his tank jungler. They'll be able to escape. If
they stayed any longer, it could have been dicey because Ego speed was coming up. There is actually a ward behind. It might not be a ward they could have TP'd to, but even so, Cyan could have choo-chooed. It would have been. They would have been on TP back. So good they backed off there. MnM playing with fire. Marshmallow's getting a bit toasty, but they do back off, haven't picked up plenty.
Yeah, one inhibitor in the mid lane, a really good start that's going to generate a bit of pressure. It's the easiest wave to clear in terms of responding to map pressure. You would have loved to have got a side lane one, especially on the bot, with Baron coming up in 2 minutes. But MnM look fully in control in these team fights. You feel like Coward and Gould have to be absolute pinpoint precise to be able to get anything done in these team fight situations. We can't discount an Ezreal on 4 items either, as well as picking up his Last Whisper. We often do sometimes discount Ezreal when it gets towards out the mid game, but this is a decent amount of damage this guy can put out.
Yeah, it's just crucially finding it on the right target, because if you're just pumping damage into the Urgot and the Sejuani, the problem is if Monk is doing the same to your Sion, the Ricochet will just constantly chip down the squishy members of your team. Yeah. It's so hard to deal with unless you get on top of that Sivir. I just feel like it's difficult to do. I want to see Coward continue to step up. His flash is coming up soon. If he finds the potential to one-shot someone, a sneaky, sleepy trouble bubble, catching Monk without a spell shield, that could be their way into this game.
Big news for you. Longest game of UKLC history. The 3rd game in now.
Wow.
Oh, we're breaking records today on the UKLC.
Absolute record breaker. And what a nail biter. Everyone excited to see how this will turn out.
I think it's actually a good testament to the level of the teams that we have here. Whilst it looks like MnM have been in complete control, and for the most part they have, Bulldog have put up an incredible performance in this game, actually, especially from their mid and AD carry. I've been super impressed with Coward and Gould here.
Yeah, a bit concerned about Saizo, and he has been caught out.
Yeah, he's going to go down here. Saizo, again, another head for Monk's belt as he takes Saizo out here. And this is probably another opportunity to just posture around the Baron, knowing that the jungler is just down.
I mean, I guess you can just start it. You have Sejuani with Warmogs. There's no real pressure if you start it up.
Yeah.
I think they should just go for it as soon as it spawns, and it's really difficult to see how Bulldog contest. Saizo really been my question mark for this game. The rest of the roster have impressed. Maybe Dejan had some questionable performances, but for the most part, it's been Saizo who I've had to raise my eyebrows at. It looks like MnM are just going to secure this Baron. Calwood cannot even get close. However, Dejan and Gould are trying to move over.
Yeah, this is you're at the point in the game now where you don't need the entire team to commit to the Baron. So you've got incredible zoning potential from Shogun and Lissandra for Chibs. There's no way that the Bulldog can get close without having any significant vision control, which, as you can see, there was next to none.
Absolutely, and the big thing is just the jungler being down means you don't have that avenue back into the game. There isn't the chance of the smite steal. Obviously, Calwood can pick it up himself, but didn't have one available there. So now, Baron goes in the hands of MnM, and Monk is so strong on this Sivir. Level 17, has 4.5 items, having picked up that Vamp Scepter. If he does not die, he will just shred everyone on the other team.
Here we go then, not going for a defensive item like you might have mentioned, but Monk, I think at this point, doesn't feel so threatened. I think he trusts his spell shield and that front line that he's got to keep him safe in these situations. We are sufficiently into the late game where it might not matter.
There's an old saying that I heard.
Yes.
Which was...
the best defense is a good offense, or something like that?
Monk will carry.
Ah, Monk will carry.
That is an old proverb that used to be said on EU Twitter, that Monk will carry.
Is he L9 famous?
No.
Ah.
He's not quite that level. But Monk will carry.
Not quite EU Twisted Fate then.
No. Monk will carry though. He believes in himself and he is picking some confident picks here, or confident items rather. Gotta see, can Bulldogs punish him? I'm looking at Calwood. This Zoe has to find something. Ooh. Didn't have time.
Again, that is huge damage coming out from Monk here. Gould actually forced to go aggressive just to push them away. This is a massive commit to that top lane turret.
Shogun nearly one hit though.
Shogun very, very low, but will use the redemption to keep himself safe as Monk starts to land the basic attacks. Nolty running in. The Sivir ultimate is popped as the ultimate from Sejuani whiffs, but that is a huge amount of damage from Chibs. massive damage onto the back line of Bulldogs as Ego Speed jumps into the front of the fight. No real damage coming out from him. And the top side of things, it is still very, very mussy. It's going to be a Ricochet that picks up Monk, getting the kill onto Saizo, and now they should, with Baron, be able to clean up every inhibitor here and potentially end the game.
I mean, this is the issue. If you don't get on the Monk, he will just murder everyone on your team. And I feel like Bulldog are going to really struggle at this point.
I think they're going to really struggle. Not much damage coming out. There's nothing they can do here as MnM push down the Nexus turrets. The pull comes in. There goes the ultimate. This is a last chance commit from Bulldogs, but they just can't deal with MnM, and MnM get the victory.
Yeah, and it was a slow performance. There was definitely some good play from Bulldogs coming out there, but overall, MnM just knew their win condition, played to it, and managed to execute.
Yeah, and I think there were some glimmers of hope from Bulldog in the early game. They definitely looked like some proactive plays were starting to happen. But what was the most influential part of the game for you in terms of where Bulldogs didn't quite manage to capitalize?
I think just in the draft, I think it was just an easier to execute draft for MnM. I think when it came to getting on top of Monk, it was just never possible. Even when he made some missteps, there was just so much CC coming out from the front line and Lissandra. It became so difficult. And it's frustrating because I feel like Coward on the Zoe had a really great performance. I feel like Gould had a great performance, but it was just the Thresh and the Xin Zhao just struggled to get anything going. Yeah,
I think also you mentioned in the game a really important point that they waited too long to four-man dive bot lane and they gave it away, and that turned everything back on its head, and they never quite got control back after that point, which meant that Bulldog were unfortunately in sort of a losing position from the outset. We've been told the MVP for that game is going to be Chibs on Lissandra. His first competitive outing and his first game gets him the MVP. Really, really good performance from him, and I'm thoroughly impressed with Chibs.
I'm impressed as well, because you always have, there's a question mark when people come from solo queue to competitive, how well they're going to transition. And I spoke to Nalty and asked, how has he been doing? He said at first there were some issues with communication he had to get over, but he very quickly adapted, and he just felt confident in this new environment, and he's shown so far that he can be.
So that means MnM will be joining XL and Fnatic Rising in the draw that we're going to have later on tonight. So we could see MnM facing up any one of those two, as well as our fourth match of the day, which will be coming up after this very short break.